Yo, what's up, everybody? My name is Jermaine Bibb. I am a pilot based out of Louisville, Kentucky, Bowman Field, Lee Marshall uniform, and I'm here to talk about how I became a pilot and how people in general can get their private pilot license and everything. And this is not, when you get your private pilot license, you are not flying private jets initially, but I guess if you got like it, you can. So stick around, I'll tell you my story and how you can obtain yours. So yes, thanks for watching, everybody. Let's do me a favor, click a subscribe button if you're not subscribed already. If you're liking this video already, give me a thumbs up. And if you're not following me on any of my social media platforms, you can follow me. My name is Jermaine Bibb _ on Instagram and Pilot Jermaine Bibb on TikTok. Feel free to add me on Facebook as well. And we can connect like that. So yes, I am a pilot based out of Louisville, Kentucky. I have about 850 hours total time. I currently have my private commercial multi-engine instrument ratings and certificates with my high performance and complex endorsement. For people who are not pilots, I'm talking a bunch of gibberish, but you will learn about that as you go on. But just tell you about my story. That's kind of what this video is about, to tell you my story, how I became a pilot. It's really cool. I am a first generation pilot, and when I say that, I mean that nobody in my family that I've known, that nobody in my family has had obtained their private pilot certificate. So and it makes me proud. So I'm setting the bar for my family, the generations to come, even my friends and everything. And it's a pretty cool thing. I don't really have. Well, now I do, but I didn't really have any friends that flew, or let alone been around airports a lot, outside of just traveling. So they didn't have the aviation bug. But I'm a first generation. It's a blessing. I love it, and it's pretty cool. So just tell you, and I just want to go in and tell you about how I became a pilot and where I got the aviation bug from. All right, so did I get the aviation bug? Right? How did I be inspired to become a pilot? My story is, not the typical one, but I guess pretty much started off with me traveling, right? So I can give credit to my auntie, my mom, my dad, and my family. Well, mostly them. But definitely what opened my eyes is when I went on a trip with my aunt as a graduation present for high school. She asked me where I wanted to go, and I was like, I'm gonna go to, jokingly saying, I was like, I want to go to France, Paris, France, and London, England. Um, and ended up happening for real. She ended up taking me to Paris, France, and London, England as a graduation present, as a high school graduation present. So it was pretty cool. She took me there. We spent some time out there, traveled, seen the world, seen Europe, different perspective, nothing I could ever imagine. And since then, that opened my eyes. Since that trip, traveling just was a different perspective to me. Opened my eyes. I began to travel more, and when you begin to travel more outside of driving a car, you're flying in an aircraft or whatever. But flying an aircraft was, for me, what I was doing. And when you walk past the aircraft, you're getting on, boarding the plane, and you look to your left and you see a cockpit, and this is younger me or whatever, you see the cockpit, and your eyes just light up. Whether it's daytime, nighttime. If you flying at nighttime, you see the cockpit all lit up with the buttons and all that stuff. The little kids, like, it looks very cool. I'm not a little kid this time, but it's just so cool to see, because you're flying more. So it's like, this is pretty dope. Like, I want to do this. So how can I get paid? Like, this will be a pretty cool job to get paid to do and to travel at the same time. Like, traveling was the main thing. Like, what can I do to get paid to travel? And I thought being a pilot was pretty cool. So I did my research, and as far as how much they make, and getting travel, it's not that bad. Pilots don't make bad money. So that's kind of what inspired me, though. Traveling inspired me, but then the pay motivated me even more. You know what I mean? So and let me say, this is an investment. If you want to become a pilot and flying full time, it's an investment for sure. If you want to become a pilot just to fly for fun, kudos to you. You got it. It's not a cheap hobby. Just letting you know that right now. So yeah, that's kind of where I got the aviation bug from. So shout out to my aunt, shout out to my family, shout out to my mom, my dad, and everything. It's definitely a true blessing, and you can't take nothing like that for granted. So After that, I eventually, I've been working. So at the time, I was not at the time. So I graduated, blase, blase, kept moving on. I started working at UPS, and I was working at UPS just because they was paying for my school. They was paying for me to get my degree at JCTC, Jefferson Community Technical College. And you work night shift. They got a good program there. You work night shift, or I think day shift as well. But I was working night shift, unloading cans that came off the plane and putting them on the conveyor belt. But one night, I was like, man, I need to figure out. 'Cause I don't know how to get into aviation. I don't know what the process is of even becoming a pilot or anything. So I was like, one night I just literally took a break, went to the restroom, ended up on the ramp with the plane. Seen a pilot, the captain to be exact. Shout out to Blake. I walked up to Blake and I was like, "Yeah, sir, how you doing? My name is Jermaine, and I really want to be a pilot. How'd you become a pilot? Like, you know, I guess Google's free, but I just walked up to the guy and I was like, man, how'd you become a pilot? So he explained it to me, and it's like, man, you need to do this, this, and this. Then he actually took me up to the cockpit, which was pretty cool. If you've been on a UPS ramp, it ain't like the when you go into a commercial airport and you walk from the conveyor belt or the conveyor, the thing that takes you to the plane, walk from there and walk on the plane. They can walk up steps. You walk up steps to actually get on the aircraft, to get inside the cockpit, the cabin, and all that. So he took me up there, showed me the cockpit. I was like, and I'm like, it's already been like 10 minutes for me talking to this guy. I'm like, dang, I gotta get back from break, but it's all good. I'm taking a number two just to kill more time. So, and I wasn't worried, but like, this is worth it. This is worth me getting in trouble if I get back and I'm in trouble, whatever. So that was totally worth it. But yeah, so he took me to the cockpit, showed me that. Then eventually, we exchanged numbers. Then he eventually took me out to Bowman Field, which is the airport I got my license out of, which is our local airport, because we got two airports in Louisville: Bowman Field, General Aviation Airport, and we got Louisville Muhammad Ali International Airport, which is the commercial airport. And he had a buddy who owned a plane at Bowman Field, and he took me there and we went up flying. He gave me a notebook. He's like, man, take these notes down. Da, da, da. So I took notes. He taught me what an ATIS was. Taught me what the upwind, the traffic pattern, upwind, crosswind, downwind, base, all that stuff. So it was really, really cool. Taught me about the plane, the ailerons, the yoke, all the stuff, the prop, leading edge. We was talking. And it's drawing interest to me because first of all, I've never been like, you know, I've seen Bowman Field, but I really didn't pay much attention to it. And as I think about it now, like when people say, like, "Dang, I didn't even realize that we had a small airport like this." But like, you really don't realize. Like me, I grew up in West Louisville, so Bowman Field's on like the other side of town, low key. And if you don't really come out this way or around this area, you really don't notice small planes flying daily. So it's kind of hard to get that bug if you're not really around it. But he brought me out there, and it's like, dang, this is cool. I'm flying a plane. I'm at an airport where all these planes. I didn't even know it was like this here. So, that was a big impact on me. Actually seeing it right then and there and experiencing that was that was dope. I remember that. I remember the plane, but I forgot what it was called. I think it was a beach. I think it was a beach. I don't know. I got a picture of it, but I forgot the tail number. I can ask Blake what the tail number was. But either way it goes, made a difference. He let me fly the plane. It was pretty cool having the controls and just who can say that? You flew a plane, so it was pretty dope. So he was like, so we was talking and everything. We continued talking, and after the flight and all that stuff, I was like, man, so what can I do? What can I do to get into aviation? He's like, man, the first thing I would tell you to do is start working at the airport. Like working at the airport, okay? Like what airport? Like work at Bowman. Find Bowman. Like start working at Bowman. Be a line guy. So a line tech, when you work at Bowman Field, and there's other jobs you can do that working at Bowman Field, maintenance or whatever. But he was like work at Bowman Field, fueling planes. A line tech fuels planes. They pretty much take care of the aircraft. They pull planes out the hangar. Somebody get a flat tire, you go air them up. Somebody get a flat tire on the runway, you go pull them off the runway with a tug. You know what I mean? So you're not managing the airport, but you offering services on the airport. So you work for a local FBO, which is a fixed base operator, and mine's at Bowman Field. Even right now, and at the time, I was working for Louisville Executive Aviation, which when planes fly in, they park on their ramp. They provide service to them. There's a restroom inside. It's like a terminal, a little small terminal where people who's flying these private planes, these smaller planes, jets, single prop, multi-engine planes, whatever. They come in, fly in for the day, fly in for a couple hours for lunch, but you pretty much providing service to them. I mean, they need fuel in their plane, you pumping fuel. They need their aircraft moved from here to there, even if on different sides of the airports, you'll provide that. So with me working at the airport, I will be able to like interact with these people all the time. I'm getting paid to interact with these people. That's why I was like, work at the airport. Like, you get paid to work here, and you're bringing yourself around aviation. Because I've never had no job like this. The closest thing to aviation I had was UPS, and working at UPS, I was not leaving, the conveyor belt outside of me going on break or whatever. So, yeah, so working at the airport. So that's what my tip would go to somebody, especially younger, even if you're older, that's all good. If you want to get more involved with aviation and you're inspired to do this or that, go work at the airport. That's was a major benefit. Like, my job that I have now with the Department of Aviation currently, as of this video, my boss, his plane was at the airport, and I met him from fueling his plane. So, he told me work at the airport. Then the other thing I'll tell you, he said, the other thing I'll tell you is, get your degree. Finish your degree. Make sure your degree got a backup plan. And most airliners are requiring, at the time, most airliners are requiring. No, some airlines are different now. They don't require you to have a degree, but get your degree. I was working on my associate degree at the time, so I ended up getting my associate's and bachelor's degree and everything. So he's like, get your degree and work at the airport, and do all that. So I did both of those things. So he said, while you work at the airport, save your money up, because I'm gonna tell you right now, if you want to get your private pilot license, your pilot license, it's not cheap. It's not cheap. Dead spit. It's not cheap. At the time, it's probably like anywhere from 12 to 15 grand. Now it's probably like 12 to 17 or 15 to 17. Just a little breakdown on it. You might be paying 165 for a plane an hour, 165 an hour for a plane. Then you're paying, on top of that, you're paying another $30, $35 an hour for an instructor. Prices vary with different flight schools, whatever, but that's kind of a ballpark. It's 165 to 175. Now it's like 185, 195. It's crazy. But then 30, 40, whatever. So you're paying around $200, $215 an hour for between a certified flight instructor, the person to teach you, and the aircraft. So $30, $40 for an instructor an hour, 165, 175, whatever, 185 an hour for the plane. You need 40 hours to get at least 40 hours to get your initial pilot's license. Most people, get it done in that if you can do that, but most people take longer. So you do the math on that, how it is right now. So it's expensive, very expensive. So he's like, man, save your money up, work at the airport, do this, do that, blase, and start flying. So 15 G's is kind of crazy to save up, and I'm working part time. I got 3 part-time jobs at the time, so I'm like, but I'm gonna make it happen. So I was focused. I made it happen. So, okay, I got a new job at the airport. I'm working many hours I can there. I work night shift at UPS. I'm going to school still, and I also work at Champs, the shoe store in the mall at this time. Oh, and I'm also taking pictures as I'm in school as well. So all this is going on, but I want to make it happen. But I'm committed to making it happen. So I'm a photographer and videographer, so that was another thing I was doing, like contracted out, doing sports photography, proms, weddings, whatever the money was that I was into. So I didn't quite save up my money to actually get into. I didn't quite save all my money to like pay for my full license, but I saved enough money to get my first lesson, and that's what I did. So on September 4th, 2019, on my 26th birthday, I paid for my first lesson. I was geeked. It was dope. First flight lesson, I was hyped. Went well. We went out and did some stalls. Wasn't scared, because that's kind of what you do initially when you go out and do your first few lessons. You learn the aircraft and murder situations and all that stuff. And you kind of, it's a good thing too, because if you can't handle stuff like that, you don't want to waste your time, right? So that's what we did, and I loved it. And this is all during COVID too. So, eventually I ended up getting my license 2000, like a year and a half later. So 2019, it was the back half of 2019 when I started flying. Whole year 2020 into 2021, got my license solo in 2020. A couple months after I started flying, and then I got my license. So that was a big blessing. Check my goal, hit that first goal. It was not easy. But I made it happen. And that's what I'm going to tell people. Stuff ain't going to be easy, but you can make it happen if you want to make it happen. Dead ass. You can make it happen if you want to make it happen. But yeah. So then ever since then, I was rolling. Each year, I set up myself a goal to get a new rating. So after the year after that, I got my instrument rating. The year after that, I got my commercial. Then the year after that, I got my commercial multi-engine rating, which means I learned how to fly with two engines. Okay, so I was focused. The only thing I don't have is my CFI, and I'm currently working on my CFI, my certified flight instructor, which means I can teach people how to fly. And people are like, why didn't you get that earlier on? I didn't really think that I wanted to be a CFI. I mean, I knew I wanted to, but I was kind of intimidated to get into taking the test and all that stuff. Then as life goes on, I end up having a daughter during my training, which I end up having a daughter during my private training, which it slowed me down a little bit, but I made it happen. You want to make, like I said before, you want to make something happen, you make it happen. So I made it happen. So I ended up having to get the real job. You know what I'm saying? Like this working part time. It's 4 or 5 different part time jobs. They don't cut it because now I'm not seeing my baby girl as much as I want to. So I ended up getting a big boy job, which I was talking about with I met my boss at the airport because I was fueling his plane. Perks working at the airport. You meeting people. You never know who you're gonna meet. You never know who you're gonna run into. Make connections, network, do all that. So Blake was on the right track with work at the airport. This is like the perfect place you can be at when you're training, when you're learning. Free lessons, not free lessons, but you're talking to certified flight instructors training, then you talk, building relationships and all that's happening. So end up getting a job working with the state for my boss who I was feeling gets playing at first. He actually followed me on Facebook and YouTube when I was making videos because I have all my videos when I started flying up until not every lesson, but you pretty much can follow my journey. You can go back on my channel right now and see everything that I've done, my progress up until now, 850 hours later. You know what I mean? So, and that's a good testimony itself. And that's why I want to post my videos, not really to make money off of it, but just to share my experience and show people that you can make this happen if you want to make it happen. You know what I mean? So, ended up getting a big boy job, got my other ratings, commercial instrument, multi-engine, and people ask now, like, how'd you get all these hours? Like, you got 850 hours. How'd you get that? Well, after you get your commercial, that means you can legally fly for hire. So then I started doing ferry flights. And outside of ferry flights, I was splitting time with people. You meet these people at the airports. You fly with this old head who doesn't fly as often. And when he does fly, he wants to fly with somebody. His wife might not want to go up, or whatever, and you go fly with him. Go get lunch in Cincinnati. Go get lunch in Nashville, and he's paying for everything. He lets you fly the plane and everything, so you can log the time. So another perk of working at the airport. You never know who you're gonna meet. You know what I mean? You get a flight time. But I end up, I do ferry flights even till this day. That's kind of where most of I have over 100 hours doing ferry flights, and not because I'm not working for anybody doing that, but I put myself out there. I network. I put out ads. If you hit me up if you want a quote, and we can figure it out. I deliver your plane. I pick up your plane in Texas and take it to California. I take your plane from North Carolina and take it to Texas. Whatever. I deliver all aircraft. So that's kind of was my hour builder right there. But now, since that's not as consistent as much as I want it to be, that's not no fault to anybody, but I'm a contract pilot, so it just doesn't come out when you don't work for an agency. You kind of getting stuff on your own. So I'm like, I want my hours faster now. So now I'm working on my CFI, certified flight instructor, and studying for my writtens at this moment as of this video. Coming quite close to taking a test. I'm hoping to take the test here in the next couple weeks. Both tests, the FOI and the other one. But and even the AGI, I want to get that done too. But yeah, so end up doing that, and here I am. So but yeah, that's how I became a pilot. Got to where I am now. My goal going forward is to definitely fly full time. I would like to be commercial, maybe better scheduling. That's one of the reasons for commercial is I find a good corporate job. But honestly, I've throughout my aviation journey, I've met a lot of UPS pilots, and living in Louisville, you kind of around there, working with organizations like OBAP and even Flight Club 502, seeing the UPS pilots there, you kind of get adjusted to UPS. It's like, dang, I want to be like them. You know what I mean? So I would love to work at UPS and retire with UPS. That would be a great, that's one of my goals. That would be a goal of mine. But one thing I've learned with life, you kind of play it out how it comes to you. So, but I do know for sure I want to fly full time. So, and I'm ready for that. I'm ready to fly full time. So, but I need to get to these hours quicker. So that's why I'm working on my CFI. And they say, and CFI not only to get the hours quicker, but it makes you a better pilot too. I've heard that a lot. I realized that honestly, I was intimidated. That's why I didn't do it at first. But I'm feeling way more confident after talking with a bunch of folks from going to different conferences and just a couple peers and everything. It's like, okay, let's go ahead and knock it out. Let's do it. And I want to inspire the next generation. I want to help them out however I can. Whether I'm donating flights, teaching people when I go do these Young Eagle flights, I'm able to sign their logbook. The .3 or whatever. I want to do stuff like that. So yeah, working on my CFI now, and then the road to 1500 continues. Okay, so yeah, that's pretty much the process of it. How I took. For y'all out there who, whether you're a young student, if you're a young student, take advantage of it. If you're young in high school still, take advantage of right now. Being young and youthful, get your private pilot license and all your ratings done at an early age and get that stuff done. Because by the time you graduate college or whatever, by the time you're 20, 22, you're going to have them hours up. And the trend is the pilots going to keep getting hired. And it's like it goes up, and it's been going up and down recently. Like there's a stoppage right now. But by the time, the trend is that over the next 10, 15 years, it will continue to go up. We're going to need more and more pilots, right? So I'm hoping by the time I get my CFI, by the time I get my hours to qualify to fly full time, to fly for the regionals or whatever, the hiring will be up. So once you want to become a pilot, search your local airport, nearest general aviation airport. Your nearest general aviation airport, look up a flight school on that airport, book a discovery flight. You book a discovery flight. You go up, they take it for like 30 minutes, 45 minutes, whatever. Do some turns, you fly the plane, you realize you like it, book another flight. But before you book another flight, go get your medical. Go talk to a doctor just to make sure you're good, because the last thing you want to do is be wasting all this money and just to find out that you cannot fly full time or that you cannot fly. And there's ways, you got basic med and all that stuff for certain things, but just always go see a doctor first because you don't want to waste that much money. All right. So you do that, and then the rest is history. Then your flight school should lead the way after that. Okay, so my route was, I learned out of Bowman Field, got my private, my instrument, my commercial, did my multi-engine up in Murray, Kentucky with Skyview Aviation accelerated course, which is great, and I'm about to get my CFI now. So just want to let y'all know that it's possible. If you can make anything happen in life, if you want it to happen, dead serious, put your mind to it, stay consistent with it, and stay proficient with it, you can make it happen. And that's one thing with the flying too. You don't want to do this and fly once a month. You want to fly every week. If you're not flying, you're studying. If you're not studying, you're doing something in aviation where you're working at the airport, right? Which, how you want it to be. So do it, make it happen. It's possible. I'm a testimony to it's possible. Take advantage of scholarships out there. There are scholarships, so many scholarships. Get involved with organizations at the airport, EAA, OBAP, Sisters of the Skies, Women in Aviation, whatever, Latino Pilots of America, whatever. Get involved with organizations, volunteer your time, and then, you'll make it happen if you really want to make it happen. Flying's not cheap. There's scholarships available out here for you. Take advantage. You know what I mean? So I know I'm about to apply for a scholarship to help with my CFI funding. So, but yeah, so I'll leave you with stay proficient, stay consistent, in all things you do in life, and flying, whatever you may want to do in life and everything. But stay consistent with it, and be happy, and treat people right, and it will come back around. You know what I mean? Networking's big, and nobody wants to be cool with a jackass. You know what I mean? So just keep doing that, and everything will work out for itself. And stay motivated. I'm motivated. I'm ready to get this done. I'm inspired. I came this far. It's been a long journey, but it's been a beautiful journey, and I've loved every part of it. So make it happen. If you got any comments or questions, definitely comment below. Feel free to reach out on my social media platforms. And thank you for taking the time to listen to my story. And I hope, if you're inspired to take these steps and everything, or if you're looking to take that step, good luck with your journey as well. And like I said before, you can make it happen if you want to make it happen. All right. Stay proficient, stay consistent in all things you do in life. Just keep saying that. No limits, expand your horizons, and holler at me. Like, comment, subscribe too. See ya.